Okay, this is gonna be fun. Welcome back to Hell. The Snydercut came out 2 weeks ago now, right? 1 or 2?
This is the second week.
This is the second week that the Snydercut has existed. And to prove everyone wrong about what it was going to end up being, I decided to watch Joss Whedon's cut and Zack Snyder's cut. And I watched them with my father.
Yes. Hello, everyone.
Dope. Okay. Yeah. So we're going to talk about it. And my grandpa said that he wanted to hear this when it was done. So Grandpa, I'm going to try not to swear.
I'm glad you said that.
I'm going to try. So just so you know, if you do hear something, know that I tried, I think is the important piece here. All right, so where should we start? What should we do? Overall or details? Where should we start?
Overall.
All right, so what are your thoughts, Father?
I was never a hater of the first one.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't think it, as someone that watches all superhero sci-fi things, no matter what it is, I'm probably going to watch it. I didn't think it was terrible, but I didn't think it was as good as Batman versus Superman, and I didn't think it was as good as Man of Steel.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't have the outrage that it seems like most of the internet had about it, and I was going to watch another one. You know, if a Snyder Cut came out, I was definitely going to watch it.
Right.
You know, so, and I did, and I was happy with it. I do think it was way better than the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And it especially had more Black people in it. Second one had way more Black people in it. And it also had more Wonder Woman in it. A lot more Wonder Woman.
Honestly. So I'm not going to start because we're just doing overall. But
okay, yeah.
But I thought it was way better. I remember I was like one of those people that was like really irritated when the first one came out because it just felt so disjointed to me between, well, first of all, I did and I still do have a whole lot of problems with killing Superman and resurrecting his body. That just, all of that just seems really weird and macabre and just seems very like a strange choice to jumpstart things. And I didn't like any of that. But then I was also bothered by just how like rushed everything felt in the first one. Mm-hmm. It was really rushed. And then especially when Superman shows up at the end of the first one, it just felt like a slap in the face to everybody else. Everybody else was like doing their best and putting in work. And it just felt like Superman showed up out of nowhere and was like, oh, is this guy bothering you? And it was like super easy. I agree. There were a lot of people cut out of the first movie. A lot of Black people were cut out. The Blue Beetle guy, the Asian guy you said who was supposed to be like a Blue Beetle or Easter egg. That's the word. That guy got cut. Like, we didn't even know from the first time that Cyborg's mom was even in the movie. We had no idea she was supposed to be even in a part of it.
And the scenes with her in it helped explain a lot of Cyborg's anger.
Yes.
Where before he was just grumpy. I guess he was just mad at his dad for being in the suit or I'm not really, he was just angry. But yeah, this fleshed out him so much more.
Let's talk about Cyborg, okay? Cyborg, they did that man dirty. They did him so dirty. They did Ray Fisher wrong. They cut out if you've only seen the first version of this movie, you're missing so much stuff because I felt like his character in the first version was just very like a cold person. Just a very cold character.
Yeah.
Cold and angry. And it's like you said in the second version, you see why he's angry. Like, he had this whole career, this whole life. It didn't really talk about the fact that his mom died, but all of the other things encompassing it, like the trauma of being like transformed into this thing, his dad telling everybody he was dead, the flashbacks to him when he was in high school and everything. Like, there's so much stuff in his character.
Plus, he had daddy issues from the get-go.
Yes.
But you didn't know he had daddy issues until you start watching the second one.
That's very true.
And then we also got to come full circle where it seems like him and his dad came to some kind of resolution about his daddy issues. Like, his dad knew, hey, I was a crap dad, but I'm all you got.
Yeah.
And you know, hey, let's use this situation you got to bring us together or help you in some kind of way. Because when they did that nod at the end where they were sneaking into Star Labs and his dad saw them and his dad was like, what the heck? And then he was like, oh.
He was like, I got you.
You're grasping for that potential I was telling you that you could do. So yeah, and that's when he told everybody like, yeah, it's me. Yeah, it's a real alarm going on. Don't nobody come in here until they see me first. Therefore, giving them cover, helping them out with everything, you know, and the nods that they gave each other, like said all that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I had forgotten about that too, because there's like other iterations of this character where, you're right. He's had daddy issues the whole time. Like just like in the movie, his dad like doesn't come to his football games, doesn't support him or anything. But the twist is, well, like in other versions, he doesn't immediately die, which I thought was a little lame. But in other versions, he's still alive. His dad is still working at Star Labs and everything. And when he becomes cyborg, his dad does that to him. He's so interested in his son. He's always trying to get close and spend more time. Now he's trying to spend more time with his son, because now it's like his entire existence is infinitely more interesting to him, because it's also entwined with like his life's work, which is, you know, all this different technology and stuff. And Victor is like pissed because he's like, you know, sorry, Grandpa. Because he's like, why? Why it didn't last long? He's like, why? He's like, you're really only interested in me because I'm a cyborg now. You still don't really care about me as your son. Like, you've never been this invested in my life.
But see, in this one, and what is that other show that he's in?
Doom Patrol.
Doom Patrol. I kept thinking about the cyborg in that, which also had daddy issues, and I was kind of getting them confused. But I'm glad we watched them back to back, because there were just lots of things with that. And when you watch the first one, it's like they wasted Joe Morgan, because he's such a good character. And even when you're watching this one, his dad was a crap dad. You know, he wasn't, you know, he was this great scientist and had all these other things going on. But, you know, first and foremost, you know, he is a dad. And that stuff was bothering Cyborg, because that dude was literally crying to his mom right as that accident happened, and bam, his mom died. So yeah, there was a lot of things with that, with the daddy part. And then also too, I think that the second one explained more of Cyborg's powers.
Yes.
You know, with the first one, you just assumed he's a walking computer. He can do a lot of things. Where with this one, you could see that he can literally visualize, like when another person that was cut out, which was the non-white woman who was a waitress. Was that her job? Was that her job?
At what point?
When he's looking, you know, when he's doing...
Oh, that woman he like did the bank account thing for.
Yes,
okay, yeah.
And also like the way that they viewed, like how according to numbers or people, their money was like represented in stacks of money, and hers was really small and even had some coins attached to it too. And the way that he could look at, wow, who's this person that has this little bit of money when I'm looking at all these other stacks of money? And then he was able to visualize who she was. I guess he had access to like a closed circuit television or video, so he could see who she was. Like at her job, you could see her helping out homeless people, even though she hardly had any money, still giving what little she could. You could see she was a mother. You could see she was evicted from her place of residence. And you could just basically you could see where he could look at that and get a total picture of her and did something nice for her, which let us know that even though Cyborg is angry, he is a good person.
Yes.
We didn't get that in the first one.
And there's also a flashback with Cyborg's mom when he's in the office, because he like changed his friend's grade. He changed his friend's grade because I think I think her family got evicted or her house burned down. Like something happened where it was like an extraordinary circumstance for a student. And like, I guess the school was just like, you know, tough luck. And so Cyborg went in and changed her grades, and then he ended up in the office. His mom had to show up, and the principal didn't want to call her a doctor, even though she's a doctor. And there's a line in there where the principal's like, just because your son is a star athlete, and a genius doesn't mean he gets a pass. So there's another point in there where you're like, where we're giving Cyborg like more character and more credit and explaining that he's always been like this. Like like you're saying, like that good part of him,
He has
that
empathy for other
generosity,
people.
that Robin Hood, that heroism, honestly, has just always been a part of his character.
And one thing about that scene that was hilarious was how, even though that the principal was saying all those things that he had done, all that, he's sitting off to the side like, I do that crap again in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat.
You think I care?
Yeah, exactly. He looked like he did not care about that, and he would do it again.
And see, that's why his mom went to the school, because if his dad had gone to the school, he'd be like, well, why aren't you giving him a principal's award or something? That sounds like something that a genius, he is a genius. Of course he is. What is he supposed to do? Just sit in class, and suck his thumb? He's not being challenged in that. He would have gone off. The dad would have caused a scene.
Yeah, but both of those instances showed us that Cyborg's a good person, and it gave us a better, like a virtual tutorial to his powers, showing us this is what this cat can do. And he can do a lot of, like, he was hacking into Batman stuff.
He was everywhere.
I mean, he was literally, and it looked like he was pushing all those airplanes and machines more than what their spec sheet showed.
He could amp up the technology.
Yeah, he was like, oh, it'll do it for me.
Right.
I can do that. I mean, because it's like a lot of Batman stuff seemed to break down in this episode, in this in this movie.
Wayne Tech is slumming it right now.
Wayne Tech
stagnating.
is rough, Wayne Tech is rough.
I made a note. I took a lot of notes, guys. I made a note that all of the scenes, I thought, with Lois and Martha felt very pointless and annoying, really, in the Snyder Cut. And I was just going to complain about how they took away a lot of their, I don't want to say agency, but they took away a lot of their, purpose or personality. Like, Lois wasn't even working and Martha didn't even have a farm and all this stuff. But I realized when we were watching the Snyder Cut a second time that the reason why they feel so annoying, well, their scenes feel like such an interruption through the whole movie, is because the movie isn't really about Superman being in their lives and Superman coming back and what that means to them anymore. In this longer cut of the movie, it's really more Cyborg's movie. And everything else coming together around him, and him sort of not coming of age, but coming into this new stage of his life, learning these things, becoming part of a team, embracing everything that he is now and the life that he has to live now. That's what it really felt like. Like, Superman really wasn't a focal point, wasn't a main point of the movie anymore. He's
not even in the movie until the last third?
Right. They talk about him a little bit because, it really sucks that he's not there and they could really use him right now. And then even the whole part where they resurrect him is no longer a main part of the movie. The Flash has way more going on. You have all of this Cyborg backstory and all this Cyborg inclusion throughout the movie. You've got a lot more stuff about Apocalypse and Darkseid and everybody. There's way more stuff with that. We actually saw Darkseid. We saw Desaad. There's just so much more, really more important things than just seeing Lois, looking sad and laying in the bed, or Lois looking sad and not going to work. There's so much more going on that doesn't have anything to do with Superman.
One thing I will say, one thing about those scenes with Lois and Clark's mom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, is that I think everyone was like, if this movie is 4 hours long, why do I need this?
Right.
I think deep down, that's what we were all thinking, do I need this? Do I need that? But one thing I think about showing the stuff with Lois is it better tied into the scene where Pet Sematary Superman was basically beating everybody up and Lois just happened to be there.
Yes.
And seeing what her routine was, which is she comes to his memorial every day, showed us that that's why she's there, and that's basically why she saved everyone's life from Superman, because he was probably going to kill everyone there. For instance, that was better than the first one, because the first one, she was their so-called super weapon.
Right.
Which kind of had problems with that.
It was so dumb.
Y'all should have brought her out. That should have been the first thing.
That should have been the first thing you see.
Yes, he should have come down and all y'all were hiding behind her, and it probably would have saved a lot of lives. A lot of
A lot of property
people,
damage.
Yes, a lot of property damage.
At least save the memorial of all the people who died when Superman was fighting around in the city last time. That's completely gone. They're going to have to make a new one now and add some names. And yeah, I remember that. And I remember thinking that was so dumb. I was like, because when we watched it again, you mentioned that, I was like, what did he even, if you're looking at the Whedon version, where the reason Lois was there was because she was Bruce's secret weapon in case the resurrection didn't go well, then she would be there to calm him down. And I was like, what would you even say to get her to show up to that?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what would you even say? Like, hey, we're going to try to bring your boyfriend back to life.
Don't ask why.
Can't really tell you about all the hows and everything.
Don't tell his mom.
Show up. Don't tell his mom. But if you could just show up at about 11:30, 11:45, and just stand around. Trust me. I'm sure you're going to notice when it happens. And by the way, if it doesn't work, sorry, we got your hopes up. Like,
yeah. Or he could be Pet Cemetery Superman and may kill everybody.
And may just kill everybody.
We don't know.
But we do want you to be first.
Yeah.
Like,
but the way it was done in the second one worked out a lot better.
Yes.
I thought it worked out a lot better because she was just going about her way. You know, the same thing she does every day, which is get 2 coffees, give one to a cop, and then go there, and reminisce over her man. And today, or that day, happened to be the day that, hey, something shot out of the memorial, and it was him. So, but I guess my point is, seeing like their despair, I guess that helped build up to that scene.
I think most of Lois's things helped build up to that scene. I just don't think it was. I think they definitely could have done more. They definitely could have done more with it. Like, they could have done, like, Lois could have been reporting on the disappearances or the strange 3-block symbol that's been appearing around the world, or she could have done a lot.
Well, let's say this. Let's say she was doing that. It's possible she may not have been at that memorial at the same time every day. It does let us know that Lois apparently has a nest egg or something, because she did not need to work or didn't.
Apparently.
And she was just taking time off to grieve, as we would all like to grieve if possible.
She got the insurance money, like you said, yeah.
But did she get the insurance money?
She might have.
If she was his fiance, she wouldn't have got the insurance money.
Right.
You know what? Which leads me to another thing. Clark's mama should have got some insurance money when he died, because I'm sure Clark's money was left to his mama.
Yes.
So why did she lose the farm?
I don't know why she lost the farm. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why she lost the farm, because the time between when Pa Kent died and like Man of Steel all the way to now is like at least several years. So if things were in decline,
she got that Pa Kent money.
Yeah.
She got Pa Kent money, and I know she would have got Clark money.
And if she didn't, like, I don't know. I just wouldn't. I don't know. I'm not a farmer. I feel like she had some options, like, as opposed to just letting the farm decay. Like, everybody knows her in Kansas. Like, they could have come and helped her out. Somebody could have sent their teenage boys to come and help old lady Kent out with her farm, like something. She just let it go.
Maybe, you know what though? Maybe she was just in despair because he was dead, and she just said, "Hey, you know what? I don't care anymore."
That's true.
Maybe that's what
that makes more sense.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. Yeah,
okay,
but I did have questions about. I know somebody got some of Clark's insurance money, and I don't know. The farm was gone in foreclosure, and maybe they were just in despair.
Okay.
You know, I don't know. I don't know. Grieving is hard.
What's some other things about the movie?
Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman.
Okay, now I understand why Cyborg was hot, because, like, basically he was just left on the floor, the cutting room floor, you know, and what him and Zach had talked about was not the same when Whedon came on board, and basically, you know, they did him dirty. It almost feels as if he was tolerated in the first one.
It was petty and disrespectful.
He's gotta be here, so we'll just keep him here.
It was rude.
But, you know, but I know he's pissed. Gal Gadot should be pissed too, because everything every action scene she had was cut down in the first one. Mm-hmm. And the second one, I mean, you really get to see that, you know, Wonder Woman's a badass. Serious. Oh, sorry about the language. Please stop. Sorry about that. I am a heathen.
Yeah, no, they did her dirty. They did her dirty too. And I noticed two big differences between the two cuts of this movie. The first one was the fact that there were several tiny little moments where they're sexualizing her for no reason. Like there's a shot where they're fighting in the sewers or whatever, and the Flash trips and falls and like lands on her chest. That wasn't in the Snyder cut.
Yep.
Oh, where are they? There's so many different Alfred keeps making little side comments about Bruce and Diana getting together, which really isn't necessary. Like Alfred is very chill about this whole apocalypse situation through the whole movie. What else was it? There's a bunch of different shots of Diana's rump throughout that aren't really necessary. Like they somehow figure out how to do like, you know, that when they do that like behind the shoulder, over the shoulder shot of somebody where like the closest person to the camera is like out of focus and they're focusing on like the person they're having a conversation with. They figured out how to do this in film and television, where the person in focus is like a normal like waist and up shot of the person you're talking to, but the person, the over the shoulder person, will be a woman, and they'll angle it so that all you see is not her shoulder, but her bottom. Like they
the butt shot.
the butt shot. They figured out how to just get her butt in the shot somehow, but have a perfectly normal profile of the other person. I'm trying to find
which version was it when Aquaman is sitting on the truth lasso?
That was in the Whedon cut as well. That's okay. One of the other things
where
I noticed.
He tells Wonder Woman how hot she is. And,
like everybody else is, he's like, yeah, you know, this may not work. We may all die, but I've loved working with all of you. You got great potential. You're really good people. I respect that. I respect that a lot. He's like, Cyborg, your life sucks, but you're still here. Batman, you're rich and you care about people. Flash, you're all right. And Diana, oh, you're so beautiful. That's all he had to say. I was like, okay. So that happened with Wonder Woman. And then I noticed another plot point of the story in the first cut was this like kind of bickering between Bruce Wayne and Wonder Woman, where Diana keeps trying to tell him like, you know, you can't keep blaming yourself for the fact that Superman is gone. You know, it's not your fault. A giant monster stabbed him in the heart. That obviously wasn't you. And he gets mad and one lashes out at her about Steve Trevor, which is deserved. She needs to get over it. It was 90 years ago. And then the other thing that happens is they get in a fight and he starts accusing her of being an absent hero for all these years and not being a leader.
Was that in the first one?
That was in the first one where they're arguing and he's like, you know, why aren't you leading? And then there's a scene at the end at the main fight place in Eastern Europe or whatever, when she's like, I'll take the lead. And that's supposed to be symbolic of her finally coming into her role as a leader. Like she hasn't been doing that for hundreds of actual years. And when I watched the Snyder Cut, we watched the Snyder Cut last week, and then this weekend we went and we watched the Whedon Cut, and then we watched the Snyder Cut again. So like this is where my memory is at. And so when we watched the Snyder Cut again, after watching that one, I realized that wasn't even they didn't include any of that tomfoolery in the story. And I also feel like it was kind of disrespectful to the character, like to like almost like the actress and the character. Like, why are you questioning my ability to be a leader when honestly anybody here could be the leader? Why are you shirking away from being the leader? Like, why are you like putting it on me to, for some reason, like this was your idea. What are you talking about? What do you mean, why aren't I leading? You planned this.
So it seems like Whedon has not only a black problem, but he has a woman problem.
Oh, he's had a woman problem. So yeah, I thought that was really interesting that they had completely changed it.
In the first, was it the first one where Wonder Woman appeared to be the cyborg whisperer?
Yes, that too.
Where she was like calming him down by just talking.
And she was the only one who could like get through to him and reach out to him and make him understand things and all of this stuff. And I was like,
was calming.
You're just the one that he knows. You're the one that met him. Anybody else could actually be nice to him and do all that. Oh, another thing that I noticed that they did. Okay, so I remember when the production of this first movie was like in the works, and I remember Ray Fisher was doing an interview about being Cyborg and how excited he was for the character or something like that, and he said, you know, I don't want to say booyah, you know, because that's like Cyborg's catchphrase is booyah, and he's like, I don't want to say that, and it was like understandable, and then all the other people were like angry that he took the part and wouldn't say the catchphrase. But he kind of thought it went back to that sort of like stereotypical like black kid on a skateboard type of comic book character, where all they do is like skate and do crazy stuff and say wacky catchphrases like booyah, because literally no one has said that before. And by the end of the first cut, the Whedon cut, I was like, this man is broken because there's a scene where they're like digging up Superman's corpse to bring him back to life, and he's hanging out with the Flash, remember? And the Flash says something and he's like, yeah. And he like puts his fist up and Cyborg just looks at it because he's not going to fist bump you. He doesn't even know you. And so he's like, all right, you're okay. Let's find the right racial differences or something like that. And it was kind of funny. But then at the end of the movie, not only does he say booyah with the eyes of a dead man, he also fist bumps the Flash at the end. And I said, that is a broken man. And they included that. The whole cut just feels petty and spiteful now. Having seen this longer one. Yeah.
I enjoyed the Snyder one so much more. It feels way more epic.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember after watching the first one, and I was listening to different podcasts, and people who are like comic experts were explaining the things that I had questions for. And I remember thinking, after I watch a movie, I shouldn't need someone to explain to me what I saw.
Yeah.
The storytelling in the movie should tell me,
mm-hmm.
And different people were telling me about the different speed verses and what, just all the confusing things that Batman was seeing and the dreamlike things.
Because we talked a lot about that afterwards.
Yeah. It's like, well, I listened to a podcast and they said what this means is so and so and such and such. And if you're doing a movie or whatever your medium, you should be able to explain to me in whatever medium it is. I shouldn't necessarily have to go to other mediums to get the whole story. I could maybe go and get more story, but you should be telling the story in what you're doing. And I felt in this 4-hour movie we saw, they did a good job of explaining a lot of things, actually. More of the villains, more of Cyborg. Way more of Wonder Woman and her homeland. I cannot pronounce it, so I'm not going to try.
Themyscira.
Yeah, that place. A lot more of that.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I mean, the things I saw in this movie of that place, I really wanted to see in the Wonder Woman movies.
Right.
And I just haven't, really seen those. Actually, they could do movies, Wonder Woman movies, like just at that place. It's probably tons of stories that they could tell.
I know. I feel like DC has like a big problem with something is going on over there where they get the green light to make a movie and then they spend a bunch of time being scared that no one's going to watch the movie, no one's going to like the movie, and they're not going to get a sequel. So they try to cram in like so many tidbits of unrelated things and unrelated characters and lore to try and make people more interested to see like a sequel or something. Like the Blue Beetle guy is interesting, but not really necessary. And I remember like each of his scenes or every time he had a line, it just felt like really out of place having him there. Like, I think it might've just been because all of the other workers at Star Labs were kind of insignificant, except Howard the janitor. He was the best. But like really nobody else at Star Labs is important except for Cyborg's dad. And it just felt, I don't know, it felt weird to me where he would just like, it just seemed like he popped up out of nowhere. It might just be because I didn't see him in the first one. I don't know. But I thought that was kind of unnecessary. The Martian Manhunter showing up.
Okay. The reason those showed up is because Warner is owned by AT&T, I believe. And this whole HBO Max thing.
Okay.
The whole HBO Max thing, that lets me know we're going to get a Blue Beetle show, movie, miniseries, something. We're going to get something with Martian Manhunter. All these different things that we saw. Probably the assassin guy who Lex Luthor hired to kill Batman.
That's what I'm saying, though.
Okay.
Like,
well, what I'm saying is, before they were probably focused more on movies, whereas now there's HBO Max. HBO Max is competing with Disney Plus. Disney Plus has all that, and see, you don't watch all the Marvel shows that are on.
Who has the time?
On Disney Plus. I make the time.
Who has the time?
Disney is bringing all that Marvel stuff under one umbrella, and if you want to see it, you're gonna have to be there. What I'm saying is that the same thing is happening probably, or it should be happening with DC with HBO Max. If you want a place to watch all that, and you got to figure, they got tons of content, and you don't have to take $100 million and invest it for a Superman movie to tell a story in the DC universe. You don't have to invest the hundreds of millions of dollars for a Batman movie, or you can do that with smaller characters like Blue Beetle. Who is he?
I'm not
Martian Manhunter.
I'm not arguing that I'm not saying they shouldn't have, they shouldn't make those things. Like, they both sound interesting to me. I just don't think it's necessary to include them in such a small but interrupting scene.
They introduced them. They introduced them to us. And that's what that is.
But you could just do it. You could just do it. I don't know who. Nobody knew who Ant-Man was. They just made a movie. Like, they didn't worry about trying to like fit Ant-Man into an Avengers movie.
They made a movie at the time where making movies and people going to theaters was a big thing. Things have changed now since the pandemic, and so HBO Max is trying to be Disney Plus, and they have that DC stuff is something that's not anywhere else, or if it is in other places, as soon as those contracts are up, all that stuff is coming under the umbrella, and they are going to make new content, and you're probably going to see more like cross-pollination of different characters in different shows or movies, and they just the same way that Marvel does now. I'm just saying.
I agree.
That's what it looked like.
It just seemed, they could have done better. I think they could have done it better. Maybe a little more subtle. Like Howard. I loved Howard. He was the janitor sweeping around in Star Labs, and then he went and he heard a noise and he went to investigate and did way more than he got paid for. And
he investigated way too much.
No, can't be doing that, babe.
Way too much.
Oh, Howard. So I don't remember why. I don't know why I cared so much, but like when we watched the Snydercut, Howard was minding his own business, stopped minding his own business, and then he got kidnapped. And I don't remember why that like stuck with me so much. But I thought it was funny, and I liked it.
He was just at work.
He was just minding he's just trying to get that paycheck.
Work,
he's just trying to get that bread.
A graded floor. And was like, what is this noise? What's going on? He's probably thinking they're not going to blame me for this. What's going on? Next thing you know, there's a giant bug that kidnapped him.
And in the Whedon cut, there was a scene after he got kidnapped where there was like a news channel making fun of his wife because his wife was screaming about how, my husband got freaking kidnapped and he's getting probed by aliens right now. And, they're going to probe him for all this information. And, they took my husband. And then the news anchor's like, all right, Marguerite, let's just relax here. And I'm like, well, her husband is literally missing. Like, that's not she didn't make that up.
And aliens did take him.
And her husband is actually missing. And they just made fun of him. I thought they did Howard really dirty.
And let me bring up another point about this. Steppenwolf shines in this. He literally shines.
Yeah.
He's very shiny.
Yeah.
And his uniform.
That's another person who got done dirty.
Yeah, he got done dirty in the first one. In this one, he doesn't care about horses.
Oh no.
He did the horses bad in
the mascara got folded like an omelet. The whole I got a lot of questions about the mascara.
He did not care about. He threw horses at people.
He was throwing horses at people. He would just swing his axe and a horse would go into the sky. He was ruthless. And I just gotta say, I thought that the Amazons were supposed to be like, they're human, but they're like immortal. So if they aren't wounded, they're gonna just live forever. But I thought that they were supposed to somewhat they're not demigods, but I thought they would still be like specially endowed, maybe a little bit stronger, a little bit faster than the average person. And like everything there is like supposed to be somewhat primitive technology with the chariots and the arrows and swords and everything. But I thought that they were still like sort of magic or sort of better than usual. But they were literally just shooting regular old arrows at Steppenwolf.
Well, I'm
wondering why it wasn't working.
Okay, I think they need to have a meeting after this, and they need to have some upgrades. And I know they have access to the world.
They need to talk.
Because they showed that, I think, in the first one, that they know what goes on in the world, okay? They need cars. Trucks would have helped so much.
Do they know what goes on in the world? Because Diana had a lot of questions in the Wonder Woman. Does the Queen only know?
Then Diana should have gone back to them and said, look, they have these things called cars. They have these things called guns.
At least get a radio or something.
They have cell phone technology.
So you know what's going on.
So you're going to take walkie-talkies, because that one lady, those one ladies who they, when she said, yo, go and get the other legion of people that we need. They could have just called them and they just could have showed up. But she had to get on a horse, gallop all the way there, and then get all of them together.
Apparently quite the distance because all of them were late. Okay, they were late.
Okay. But a phone call would have been helpful.
Mm-hmm.
They need to up their communications game. They need to up their weapons game. I mean, guns aren't the worst thing in the world. Guns would have helped them out a lot. Some kind of firepower would have helped a lot. And a vehicle would have helped. They need something with horsepower.
Maybe a crossbow, maybe like a hwacha that just, shoots like 1,000 arrows at once. Like they could have.
I think they need guns. I mean, if they have bulletproof bracelets, then that lets me know that then they must have tested that on something. So they must be aware of bracelets of bullets.
It needs some work. It needs some work. They
needed those things.
They need to unionize or something. This was bad. It was bad. They got the only good thing about the scene in the first cut of this movie where Steppenwolf shows up and steals their mother box. The only good thing about that scene compared to the other one is that it was short. Because it was just a longer slaughter in the Snyder cut. They were not prepared for this. I kept making fun of Mankind because after they defeated Steppenwolf and them the first time, like thousands of years ago, it was like the world of man, the world of Atlantis, and the world of the Amazons. Like all three of them said, okay, we're going to each take a mother box. We're going to hide it away and secure it so nothing like this ever happens again. And we're going to guard it with our lives. And everybody said, okay. And then the Amazons went back and they hid it in that little temple that's guarded all the time. And then the Atlanteans, they put theirs in a little sort of sea temple, and then the Mankind literally just buried it like 2 feet into the ground, but it ended up being almost as useful.
It was exchanged when they went to the history about the Italians had it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, of course they had it, and then the Nazis got it, and then America got it, and then at the end of the day, it was in Cyborg's closet.
Right?
I mean, it was just literally.
Y'all didn't bring your best. Y'all had one important task, and you really didn't bring your best.
I would think it would at least been at Area 51 or, something.
Or a vault. Like
an underground place. At the Pentagon? I mean, somewhere.
They clearly. Apparently, if you have a extraterrestrial artifact in the DoD, you can just take it. And as long as they can't figure out what it is, you can just take it. It's fine. They won't care. It's missing.
Steppenwolf just does not like horses. I was just amazed that the horse abuse. He just does not like them. He does not like them. No regard for horses whatsoever.
No. Yeah. Oh yeah. We were talking about Steppenwolf. So yeah, he was merciless to the horses. He was just better, and that was another one of the things that was missing from the first story was he didn't have a lot of character. He was basically just this guy who showed up because Superman died, and then he showed up and. Okay, now he's here and he's just gonna, collect the Infinity Stones or whatever. But in this story, it was he had a real drive for figuring this out, and him talking to Desaad over and over again, cemented how he's really nobody likes him and he really needs this to work out so that he can, get his job back basically. And his suit was better. I just think the horse brutality kind of drove it home that, hey, man, this guy is just not playing around. I mean, he threw those horses around like it wasn't anything. I mean, I felt bad for the horses at that. I'm kind of team Car too, because I was like, this is a waste. This is kind of an abuse of horses at this point. Between that and
clearly they have to do something different after this because, I mean,
they need to regroup.
That and I thought Darkseid was really cool in this.
Yeah.
I felt like the threat was better. I felt like the threat that we were facing was a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about the Flash. Because the Flash, his character changed quite a bit.
And the main thing that got better about the Flash is his run was not as goofy as it was in the other one.
I couldn't tell the difference.
Remember,
but it wasn't bothering me
where it
that
was like
much.
He was just kind of running, with the arm, and it was like he ran like he was constantly in a state of trying to keep from falling down.
The only thing I could notice, and I was like trying to look at it, was like just the way his hands, like most people run like with fists or maybe like knife hands, but he was like slapping his wrists around.
No, there was a thing like when the legs were just, it was really a goofy
I'll have to look
thing.
at it again.
Yeah,
But
it's really a goofy thing. So that got a lot better.
I noticed when they were talking about the resurrection, it kind of changed. A lot of the dynamics between the Justice League people changed. Like, when they were talking about resurrecting him in the first place, Flash was like, this kind of sounds like some Pet Cemetery stuff. This don't really sound like a good idea. I've seen Pet Cemetery, guys. I've read the book. Like, I'm telling you, like, totally a bad plan. And then in the Snyder Cut, he was just as down as everybody else right up until, like, they actually had to do it. Then he was a little more apprehensive about it.
Yeah. I like the Flash in this, and but I like the Flash in the last one, and I was looking forward to whatever they were going to do with the Flash, whether it's a movie or a miniseries or TV show,
right?
However, which I do think they are working on a Flash movie.
They are back on.
Okay,
with the movie.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. I'm down for that. However that's going to be.
Okay, so what do you think about the decision to have the Justice League fail and then have Barry go back in time to make it right?
Since I've watched it twice, I kind of get that that's what he did, but I don't think I understood that the first time.
Okay.
It almost looked like he was doing the same thing when he was doing when they were resurrecting Superman.
Yes.
It seemed like it's similar, and I think maybe if we get a Flash something and they're able to explain what his going... Okay, yeah, I guess I did get that because they explained that a little better because it seemed like as he was running, time was changing in front of him.
Right. So
so we did get that. I kind of get the two movies mixed up since I watched them back to back. So, okay, so I did understand that, but I think in seeing some whatever vehicle they use for the Flash, we'll be able to understand. I hope they explain that a lot better because that's actually interesting that he can kind of do different things and break into different universes and do things with time and all that. Because they kind of did that, they did a lot of that on the TV show.
Right.
That's still on, which I no longer watch anymore.
Can't do it.
It just got to be a lot. But when I was watching it, I enjoyed it. And I never knew that about the Flash until I started watching the TV show.
Oh, really?
Because I didn't really read the comics like that, too much. But that was interesting to me, and I'm on board. I like the guy who's playing the Flash. I like the version of Barry. I'm on board with it. I'm ready for more Flash stuff.
I thought it was interesting to do that and go that far, and one to just include the failure, like the hero failing, and then him going back and everybody making things right again. I thought that was interesting, just showing that initial failure. And I also thought it was a cool sort of callback to the resurrection, like you said, because the cube went into the corpse water, and then when he started going faster, it came back out again, like he was going back in time, or he was running, or he was, it was like he was moving faster than the flow of time. And that's how I interpreted it. And then at the end, when he does it again, it's interesting to me because it called back to that moment. And it was really cool watching, he was running. That's why I say he was running faster than the passage of time, because he was literally running before the roads were built, as the roads were or was that the explosion?
I think it was the road was going back. It was going back prior to the explosion.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
Yes.
So I still thought that was really cool effect, seeing he was running behind the smoke and the road coming back to life and everything. But I thought it was interesting because right before he does it, he's like, Barry, we got to break the rule. We got to break the rule again, the one you say you're never going to break or whatever. And then he goes back in time. And I thought that was interesting because it made me think maybe he did try to get his dad out of prison, or maybe he did, because it made me think has a Flashpoint type scenario already happened? Because you've seen the Flashpoint movie, right? Where he goes back.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, where he goes back and he tries to prevent his mom from being murdered by someone else, and then when he goes back to the present, everything is messed up. So
they did a lot of that on the CW TV show.
Barry can't stop messing up the timeline in that one. Yeah, so it made me think of that, and I thought it was interesting, and I thought it at least added a little bit more lore for big comic fans or Flash fans, that he does know what he's doing. He hasn't been a hero for very long, but he does know what he's doing somewhat as far as being a speedster.
I'm excited about whatever they come up with the Flash, because when you get that guy working at Star Labs and he like has access to like get a better suit and maybe even test what he can do, you know, when he gets a team. That's what I liked about the CW show, you know, the fact that there was a Flash team. Cisco, Iris, you know, all that. And kudos in this movie, another Black Iris, I assume.
Yes, that goes back to my misogynoir category. Okay. So the misogynoir is the erasure or discrimination against Black women. Okay. So we already had Victor's mom who didn't make the cut. It's not misogynoir, it's just noir when Martian Manhunter got cut because he's always Black presenting, or he's a Black coded character. And the choice to cut Iris West, I'm gonna say that, but I'm also gonna say the choice to have the time freezing slow-mo moment with Iris surrounded by the freaking hot dogs. Unnecessary.
That was the best.
So I added the hot dog stand to my misogynoir list here. So they did them dirty. They did Victor's mom especially dirty. She was kind of pivotal.
That's the erasure of the almost damn near the entire Black family because of her not be the whole thing with Cyborg.
They glossed. I'm pretty sure they do mention like once, maybe in the first cut, that his mom also died.
I think they did too, because I think they have that scene where he goes into the hospital and they're like, your wife died, but your son is going to die. Isn't that in both of them?
I don't think that was in both of them. Because now we gotta go back again. Because I remember when we watched the Snyder Cut, he was in the hospital finding out what happened, and then I think the next cut is him going like, "I'm not gonna let you die," blah 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 blah, and they show him in the hospital bed. We never see Victor without his Cybertronics in the first cut. Like, there's no backstory.
Okay, then that scene must not have been there.
Yeah.
Okay. One thing I want to bring up.
Tell me.
Bruce Wayne's massive wealth. He isn't just like Oprah rich or Jay-Z rich. The man has a landing strip that's underwater. Yeah. You know, I don't even know how that would even been built.
That's why people keep making fun of Jeff Bezos, because they're like, we haven't heard any kind of bat-like shenanigans from you, sir.
Yeah, he clearly has that kind of money. The man has no limit to the amount of planes or all-terrain. He has vehicles that can climb. And most planes, big planes, you usually need like 2 pilots. Single pilot and remote control. That, Alfred can just do from, at any moment, if Alfred's at the desk, he can just move some stuff to the side, pull out a joystick, and okay, I got control of whatever it is. So Bruce Wayne's wealth is just massive. Just massive. Just massive. Wow. But he still apparently doesn't have. I don't know why he's not using that to help get Barry's dad out of prison.
Bro, why is Barry's dad still in jail? Okay, so when we would watch the Flash TV show, it starts with Barry's dad in jail because he's been in there for years because everyone thinks that Barry's dad murdered Barry's mom. And so that's why he's in there. And it kind of makes sense. It makes sense in the Flash TV show because it's an isolated universe. There aren't a bunch of other superheroes out. There's no Superman even really. So it's like, and he doesn't know he's not friends with Superman or anything. So it makes sense that, it's just up to him to try to find a way to exonerate his dad or get his dad out somehow.
I think they do mention that there is Superman. Because they mentioned Metropolis, but Barry doesn't know.
But they're not friends. Yes, they're not friends. Exactly. You would have no way to know
they aren't associates.
Your dad didn't actually murder anybody.
I don't think he gets into the super world. I think he does.
That's
when Supergirl or Superwoman.
Supergirl.
Okay, when Supergirl comes around.
But Bruce Wayne went out of his way to not only find these unique people, but also to learn everything about them that they can. I would have maybe we'll get a sequel. Maybe something will happen in the Flash movie where he's like, hey, Batman, what's up? So, do you know anything about breaking people out of prison? I assume that's going to be the first line in the Flash movie.
Or he could just ask him, What would you do if Alfred was charged with murder?
And you knew he didn't do it, bro.
I know you've got the right lawyer. You know, you bros.
He should just ask him.
You should get this done. I know.
Yeah.
I would. I
would have just asked him. I'd have been like, yo, not gonna lie, I just did a lot of favors for you. Like,
exactly.
Saving the world or not. Like, I really did this for you. So I need to get my dad, he's tired of eating meatloaf surprise.
Help me out.
Get him out.
Another thing I just thought about here, the backstory we got on the mother boxes was a lot better.
Really?
A lot better. Yeah, we got an explanation which showed the war with the with the different people, but the mother boxes, yeah, the intro we got into those was a lot better in this one. Okay. And because I felt with the first one, it's like, I guess maybe if you had read this volume of the comics, then you would know. I felt the first one, you needed to be a comic head to understand what was being presented to you. Whereas just a regular person who just plopped down there $15 or whatever it is to go to the movies.
Yeah.
You may have been dazzled by the stuff you saw, but at the core of the movie, you know, there were some things you didn't really understand, but I thought everything was explained in this one.
They had the time for it.
And I'm gonna tell you something else. I like this format of super long movies. If you can, like, now, different things that I've been listening to over the past 2 weeks were things I had never thought of, which is there's usually a limit on how long a movie can be. And I guess when Snyder was going to do this, it was going to be broken up into 2 parts, kind of like the Stephen King It.
Right.
Because he wanted to tell this story, but you can't have a 4-hour movie because that limits how many times you can show a movie in the day.
Right.
So that's why those things aren't done, and that's why it was going to be broken up into 2. But when it's on HBO Max or Disney Plus or Netflix, you know, they figure people can pause that.
Yeah.
You know, and go do whatever it is that they want. And I hope we see more things like this, because I had actually been kind of turning away from the movie medium and more towards a series or mini-series, because it seemed like you have more time to tell a show. But this dude took 4 hours to tell a story that I had already seen, and I was entertained by it.
Yeah, it didn't feel nearly as long as I thought it was gonna be, being 4 hours long.
It was long.
There were moments where I was like, oh my gosh, like, we
More
don't need
slow-mo.
this. We don't, way too much slow. The slow-mo
More
probably took
slow-mo.
about 20 minutes of the
More
whole
slow-mo.
runtime. But we didn't need the slow-mo. I'm sorry to the Icelandic women, but I did not need the song. And then there were a few other scenes where I was like,
the song and slow-mo at the same time. It was like
not necessary.
We were getting it.
Not necessary. But like you said, the way that they took the time to explain things and show more backstory, all of those additions were still really engaging and interesting.
Yes, I'm pleased with it. I want to see more things like this. It had never occurred to me that the length of a movie correlated with like how much money can be made per day.
Yeah.
It makes sense now that I hear it, but I just had never thought of it. And I guess that does go to like, there aren't really that many like 3-hour long movies, and it does seem like
it's a big deal.
And do they charge more when a movie is super long? It seems like I've heard that with a movie.
I don't think they do. I don't think, well, if I think it depends on the studio or something, because if Christopher Nolan, for example, makes a 3-hour movie, it's just going to be a regular movie price. But if you have a special showing of like an indie film or a foreign film, like where I worked, they would charge you $20 or $30 to see that.
I understand
that. But you could still see, like I said, like if the regular runtime of a sort of like blockbuster movie is longer, they won't charge you more for that.
And I think also that probably too depends on like what the movie is. If it's part of like a $1 billion franchise, right? It's probably like, oh, well, you know what? We're gonna have that. You know, if you got a big multiplex anyway, we're gonna have that playing on 3 or 4 screens anyway. You know.
Shout out to the Ancient Lamentation music. Made a big comeback in this cut. Yeah. Basically every time Wonder Woman flipped her hair, there was ancient, like, instead, I don't know why they didn't want to use her good theme song with the guitar.
Her battle cry. Yeah.
You know, they had all kinds of remixes of that in the stupid 1984 movie, but
maybe that is exclusive to Wonder Woman.
It was in it started in Batman versus Superman. because that came out before Wonder Woman did, and then Wonder Woman 1 came out, and then some other stuff happened, and then Wonder Woman 2 came out. But they did not want to use it in this movie.
You know what? I would have to watch Batman versus Superman to see if what they played when Wonder Woman did.
That's where the song comes from. That's her entrance music. When she first shows up fighting Doomsday.
Oh, okay.
She like moves her shield and it's like yeah, they did not want to play that. They played this random stock music. They found.
Remember when we were talking about, because we haven't talked about Aquaman. We talked about how watching that made me want to, or I guess us, because you haven't seen Aquaman, right?
Yeah, I saw Aquaman.
You saw Aquaman?
Yeah.
Okay, it made me want to go back and look at it. Well, after we watched the Snydercut last night, I looked at the trailer for Aquaman and I was like, "Oh, this was bad." I forgot Nicole Kidman was his mom.
Oh God! Oh no! Repressed.
And they kept and somebody was making these dolphin-like noises.
Repressed.
And I just watched the trailer and I was like, this was like.
I don't want to go back there.
I think I'm gonna do it anyway.
No.
I think I am gonna do it, but I was like, this was a bad movie.
When we were watching the Whedon cut, the first one again, it really just made me want to watch. It just made me want to watch Justice League Unlimited. Like it made me like seeing the characters and seeing them interact with each other, and then seeing it be bad just made me want to watch some good interactions with the same characters. And you never watched it, so you've never seen the iteration of Aquaman before this current one, where he's just like a outsider to Atlantis, which is terrible, but I'm not going to do that right now. And I don't think you've seen a previous iteration of Cyborg when he doesn't have like the terrible character design.
All I've seen, I read and this was around the time that the first one came out originally, I either bought a Cyborg comic, through Comixology, or there was a free one and I read it, and it was cool. But see, I go through times when maybe once or twice a year where I want to read comics. And so I go to Comixology and I read. After watching this Snyder Cut, it did make me want to either watch some more animated DC things with Superman and the Cyborg and the team. I have watched a fair share of the Batman ones.
Yeah.
And but there's like a ton of stuff with Superman stuff I have not seen, and same way with the Flash and some Justice League stuff. But it did make me want to explore that universe a lot more. So I'm probably gonna watch some animated things because there's a ton of those on HBO Max.
They moved them all to HBO Max.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. There's like
they've got everything. I want to say, except maybe the Zeta Project, but they've got everything.
There's some things on Amazon, so I don't know if those are allowed to be on. I don't know if they're at both places, but Amazon does have some of those, I believe.
I'll have to look again.
Yeah, but HBO Max is a resource for like all that DC stuff, and I was like, I think I'm gonna check a lot of that out.
Justice League Unlimited is like one of it's definitely the best interpretation of the Justice League. Just like all categories, like acting, action, story, all of it. But yeah, it's just so much better. Like the story, all of it is so much more interesting, and they touch on all the different things. So like that's where between like that and Young Justice, that's where all my understanding of like Apocalypse and the Mother Boxes comes in. So like I'm glad and like interested that from you watching the Snyder Cut, you actually had like a much better understanding of the Mother Boxes and everything, because just me, when I would watch the other shows, I'd be like, wow, that's like really like this is a lot. And the fact that they put it in the movie, as a fan, I was just like, this is a lot. I don't know what people who aren't super invested in the comic lore are going to be able to do with this if you don't explain it well,
It wasn't until the second time that I watched the Snyder Cut that I understood what was that thing that the big villain wanted?
The anti-life equation.
The anti-life. It didn't dawn on me until the second time that I was like, he's talking about that pattern that came from the lava. It dawned on me the second time. I was like, oh, another thing. The last end credit scene with them in the apocalyptic setting. I'm all for that. I am.
Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. Like, I didn't need that to be convinced that there should be a sequel. It was so long.
I don't even know that even needs to be a sequel. That could be a series That could be a mini-series, but I am definitely interested in that story because I see different kinds of Superman and Batman things in there, like they are now, they're in current times. But in an apocalyptic setting, I'd enjoy seeing that.
I would too. I just didn't think it needed to be in the movie.
Maybe they'll even be zombies.
They should have, maybe they could have been like I don't know. You know what? Maybe they should be making more teasers.
I think the Snyder guy did that on purpose, just to plant seeds, just to be like, bam, here's other visions.
I could be doing it like that.
I could be doing this, or HBO Max could be going in this direction.
What's the meme? This could be us, but you playing games over here.
Yeah, exactly. Because I saw that and I was like, oh, I definitely want to read. Is there a comic for that? Or yeah, I'm interested.
You probably want Injustice. That's kind of the.
I was all for that.
But we were talking about Aquaman, and I thought Aquaman overall was a lot better. Like they took the dude bro out of his character just in this movie. I know it comes back full force in the Aquaman movie, but that's
in the movie they make him, it's like, if I'm not mistaken, isn't that like a comedy? I just remember watching it thinking that
it was like watching The Mummy or something.
Yeah, it wasn't as serious.
It wasn't a superhero movie. It was more of an adventure movie.
I think I'm going to watch it though again because I just want to see what it looks like on the new TV.
There you go.
So I think I'm going to watch. Oh, I thought the Snyder one just looked better than the first one. The first one was very dark.
Yeah.
It was very dark. Yeah, like it was almost on a dark setting. But I thought that even though it had that weird aspect ratio, it looked better.
Yeah.
It looked better, and I liked it.
Okay.
And I didn't even notice after a while the aspect ratio. It didn't really.
No.
I didn't know once we got rolling. I just thought it was weird that it was gonna be like it's gonna be like this.
It was. I felt like it was one of those things where people were just like looking for a critique because it didn't really. It's just a stylistic choice. Like I don't think we lost anything by not making it like the 16:9.
No, yeah.
It was just interesting. It was yeah.
Yeah.
What else? Superman's mad disrespect. What did I mean by that? When he just showed up in the first one, just totally stole everyone's thunder.
Well, I think that's how Superman is like most of the time.
It was just the way that it happened because effectually the same thing happened in the Snydercut where he just showed up and, because remember he was just standing over him like, punch, laser. And he put in that work. But it was just the way that they did it in the first one where it was just like they were all trying their hardest. And then it was just like if I had been Aquaman, I'd just like thrown my Triton and just been like, I'm going home. Like clearly I wasn't actually needed here. But like in the Snydercut, they kind of worked it where everybody still had a little something that they had to do after Superman showed up. And I thought it was really funny how when we watched the first one, they separated the mother boxes. They started beating up Steppenwolf, and then they're like, oh, what if he smells like fear? And then he got eaten by the parademons.
Yeah.
Cut that whack mess out of here.
That was bad.
In the next one, they separated the mother boxes. Aquaman stabbed him in the back with the Triton, and then Diana just started running. She was like, I've been waiting for this one. And then she cut off his head, and then they kicked that old corpse right back through the portal, and they said, we don't want this mess.
Headless.
They kicked the head and the body in there. They said, keep this mess. We don't want this over here. Keep it to yourself next time.
Yeah.
That was way more deserved shade at Darkseid.
That was way better, yeah. I enjoyed it a lot, and it's crazy. I've seen this 4-hour movie twice in 2 weeks, and I also watched how long is
it said 2 hours. I thought it was 3, but I guess it said 2.
So we watched a lot of this in the past 2 weeks. A lot of that. Saturday was just gone.
Saturday was over.
Back to back. Yeah, Saturday was gone. But I enjoyed it.
Yeah, good stuff. Good times.
Yeah.
So thanks for coming, Paul. Maybe we'll do all the big blockbusters.
I think that would be nice.
We at least have to do Suicide Squad when that happens. I'm so excited.
King Kong and Godzilla next week.
It's gonna be so stupid.
You know what? You didn't see the last Godzilla movie.
No,
I'm telling you have to see it.
Bobby Millie Brown and Bryan Cranston were there, and I was like, I shouldn't care about any of the people. This should all be about Godzilla.
And you're gonna wonder that the entire time. You're gonna wonder why did they even cast people for this? They should just the cast should said 3rd dead man, 50th dead man, 8th dead woman. I mean, that should be the credits for people that died. That's all it should be.
No.
But whether or not people have daddy issues and all that
Not
stuff
important.
doesn't mean
Not
anything.
relevant.
But I'm telling you, you need to watch that.
I know.
And then we gotta watch.
We gotta watch King Kong cinematic universe.
Gotta watch that next week.
The King Kong lore. The ancient King Kong lore.
I'm telling you, HBO Max has got it popping.
So stupid.
HBO Max has it popping. I'm pretty satisfied with HBO Max.
Yeah, we got a lot of good stuff going on there.
And Suicide Squad, as you said, is
Suicide Squad is
up.
in August.
That looks good. I saw the trailer.
That's gonna
for
be
that.
dope.
I had not seen a trailer for that.
It's gonna be dope. I missed seeing Harley Quinn animated or live. It made me want to rewatch Harley Quinn, even though they're not
Now,
related.
Idris Elba is not replacing Will Smith.
He's some other sharpshooter,
another black
character.
Another character that's black. Okay.
But yeah, I didn't even realize he was in it until I saw the trailer. But I'm super excited for that. People were making jokes that Pete Davidson from SNL was in it, but he was only in like one shot in the trailer, which was everybody was like, oh, so I guess he dies in the first 10 minutes.
Okay.
He's gonna be that guy that proves that the bomb is in their neck.
He's the guy that said, "What's this?" And then that's it.
Oh, I don't have to follow your rules. So that'll be good. I'm trying to think what else is coming out. Space Jam is coming out in June, I believe.
I'll watch that.
We're gonna watch the heck out of it.
All right.
Space Jam. Yeah, I can't think of any other movies that are coming.
Another Matrix movie?
Oh, no.
Yeah, they're doing another Matrix movie.
Oh,
I have low expectations, but I have to watch it.
God.
And also another thing that's gonna come out that I'm excited for is Dune.
Oh, yeah.
I used to read those books. I read like a lot of Dune books.
Yeah, we have a lot of Dune.
Yeah, I read a lot of those. That's gonna be interesting because I think the Dune movie, the original one that came out in the 70s or the 80s, is on HBO Max.
Probably.
And it's pretty bad. It's like really, really, really bad. And there was a Dune series on the Sci-Fi channel that came out in the early aughts, I think, but I can't find that anywhere. And I heard that was actually pretty good, but I think at the time, I was probably working a lot. I didn't see it, and I cannot find it anywhere. But I think I tried to watch that Dune movie from the 80s, and after I read the book, it was bad, I think. I don't know if I was able to finish it. But I am interested in seeing that. They have the same sandworms from The Mandalorian, but you haven't seen The Mandalorian.
I haven't seen The Mandalorian because we haven't finished the Clone Wars.
We have not finished.
We haven't finished Clone Wars. So we're gonna get on that.
Yeah.
All right, gang. Don't be nasty. Wash your hands and season your food.